why is suffering so good? Like, you know, I don't want to suffer. Listen, I'm not talking about like someone, I don't know, like sawing your arm off. That's suffering too, right? I'm talking about intentionally doing things that put you into a place of adversity, pain, and suffering. I used to tell myself that I'm designed to lift weights, that running is not something I do, and I kind of bought into that bullshit story that I told myself, right? When in reality, the human body, the human psychology is so adaptable, man. You could do anything and become anyone that you want, but it takes that degree of change and effort to do it. And I decided that I was going to hire a marathon running coach and train for 6 weeks and then run that marathon, the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. And I did, and it blew away so many limiting beliefs that I carried with me. But I share that with you because there is a high level of suffering when you are training for a marathon, especially in 6 weeks. Can you do it? Yes. Is it going to suck? Absolutely. And you have to embrace that suck. And there's a difference between the person who embraces the suck versus the person who is constantly trying to run away from discomfort, suckiness, pain, adversity, right? And in fact, back in 1939, Napoleon Hill, when he wrote his book, Think and Grow Rich, in that book, he talks about on the other side of pain, you meet your highest self. On the other side of pain, you meet your higher self. How powerful is that? Like, this man knew it back in 1939. He saw it, and then he wrote about it in one of the most popular books on the planet, Think and Grow Rich. Whether it's adversity, whether it's suffering, whether it's pain, if you choose to run towards it, who you become on the other side of it is a newer, higher, more transcendent version of you, right? But most people want to do what? They see pain, they see suffering, they see potential for adversity, they see risk, and they begin to run away. They retreat. They go towards comfort, complacency. They go towards not feeling discomfort. And what that does is conditions you to be soft mentally and physically and emotionally. It doesn't put you in a place of experiencing growth. Now, sure, I get it. When we were cavemen, we certainly wanted to run away from any risk. We didn't want to experience any disaster. And so it is factory installed in you as a human to seek out comfort, to seek out complacency, consistency, right? But here's what happened. The cavemen had factory installed adversity also in their life. When you're dealing with the elements, before we had all these comfort and conveniences of life, you're having to deal with cold and rain and ice and droughts. Like, suffering was built in to the caveman's life. And so he had the opportunity to constantly improve and become a better version of himself. This is why we evolved, didn't we? Look at the creature comforts that we have, but we are still that same caveman. The difference is now we have all these comforts, we have all these conveniences, and we no longer have the adversity, the suffering, the pain that comes with life. We don't. Now, what you do is you manufacture it because your body still wants it, which is so fucking silly, right? All of you that are like, I'm always depressed, I'm always anxious, I'm always on edge. Well, guess what? Life is pretty damn good compared to the caveman I just described, right? And as good as life is, and you have access to the world because you have this phone in your hand, like, you literally have access to the world. Like, there was kings and queens that were carried around on the shoulders of men that had less access than you do, right? Their bathrooms even were buckets. They had chamber pots. They didn't have an iPhone they could access the world to. Yet you find a reason to be anxious and depressed. And that's because the human psyche wants comfort and complacency and convenience, but it also demands suffering, pain, and adversity. And so now that it is not available to us, the suffering, pain, and adversity in our normal day-to-day life, because everything is so convenient, hell, what are you doing then to actually achieve some level of hardship so that you could overcome it and meet the higher version of yourself, the version of yourself that can deal with some adversity, that can deal with uncertainty, that can deal with hardship, right?